Future's now, old man.
What to do, everyone? We are Future First podcast. Up a new win today with the Future First mindset. Here with a little bonus episode with my co-host Jose. What's going on, man?
Hey, Jmac, I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Um, just trying to survive the week 3 onslaught that's brought us a whole slew of injuries here. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a brutal week for me personally. A lot of players that I have heavily rostered on either Dynasty or redraft teams got injured. We had some pretty big, major season injuries for some other guys. So there's definitely a lot to kind of recap on this week 3.
Yeah, yeah, this is going to be a little different episode than we've been doing, a lot less structure. We don't have a doc. We're just here to kind of talk shop and go over our reactions to kind of what happened in week 3, identify some players we're looking at moving forward. Yeah, hopefully spread some knowledge to all you out there. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Should we just kind of dive into it, man? What was your biggest takeaway from this week?
I think it has to be the running backs, right? Like the two guys who, excuse me, unfortunately had like those big catastrophic injuries, right? And kind of how those backfields are gonna look now, right? You had Connor with the ankle slash knee, and then I think Najee with his Achilles, right? Both those guys, season but potentially career ending, right? For those guys, it's sad to see. Guys that have been, pretty fantasy relevant, maybe not the elite of the elite, but guys, they were on fantasy rosters. They were rostered. People were counting on them. Najee, 1,000-yard runner for however many seasons there in Pittsburgh. I guess on the flip side, right? Then you look at Hampton, right? The thorn on his side, right? Um, the thing that was kind of stopping him, right, is out of the way now. He's on his way. We saw the touches, we saw the domination that and the elite asset that we thought we were getting out of Hampton with the Chargers. So I mean, that's all wheels up for all Hampton owners. I think the panic can end, right? The panic in the streets, and then Benson, who was looking, I don't know what the situation is going to look like, right? If it's going to be a lot of split backfield, but you got Trey Benson now, and you got Demarcado, right? Demarcado does not look like a very good NFL player. So is it going to be a lot of Benson? Are they still going to try to keep a timeshare? That's one of those handcuffs that I think a lot of people had. It's not great for waiver wires. Obviously, anywhere that he might be available, he should be a premier ad. But I think a lot of places he was probably rostered. But yeah, man, those to me are the two biggest ones because I think it's the most impactful. The running back rooms are always the scarcest of prime resources, and now you just pretty much crowned or made two new starting running backs, right? So what about you? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest there's a lot changing, and I think that's kind of like my biggest takeaway. And yeah, like the running backs play into that quite a bit too. But I feel like there's some other like after 3 weeks of like some real concrete, not evidence, but just kind of data to kind of help cement the trends that we've been seeing. Uh, it changes a lot of how I'm kind of looking, forward at making moves. But yeah, the Trey Benson one's interesting. I saw Dwayne McFarland came out and was saying that Benson played 87% of the team snaps after James Conner's injury. He also had a 50% route participation rate. So yeah, like who knows if that changes? If DeMarcado just wasn't really in the game plan, and now that they have a week of preparation, maybe he gets more involved. Um, I doubt it. I think Benson just kind of takes over and kind of runs with it. but yeah, I mean, wheels up for him. We called him out as like a honorable mention for our future first watch in our previous episode, and that happened a lot sooner. I saw him go for a first already. It was a much deeper league, so the firsts are way watered down. It was a contenders first, so it's more like a early second, but still, nonetheless, like there was more on top of that first to get Trey Benson. Um, yeah, I think his future outlook is pretty secure too. Like, Connor's old, has injury histories. He's, lower leg injury is always very concerning. I think Godwin went out early last year with an ankle injury and, is struggling to get on the field early this year. So that could carry forward. Yeah, Marion Hampton's usage sucks for Najee. Man, that's Achilles injury, that late. That's terrible. But Omarion just got everything, including the passing work, which was huge to get him there. So yeah, it's good to see him get going. Yeah, it's some other news too. Not even outside of week 3 that we had. Jackson Dart is now starting for the New York Giants. Russell Wilson got benched. I don't know what you think about that, but I have a take that the Giants are going to be, I mean, they're bad, right? But I think there's potential for it to get even worse with Jackson Dart behind the helm. Like their schedule is not favorable for a rookie quarterback to come in and take the helm. And I think it's going to be bad enough where we see who's the coach over there? I'm blanking on his name right now.
Dable.
Dable, yeah, Dable and Joe Shane, the GM. I think that their jobs are going to be in jeopardy here. And with that, you could see turnover for new coach, new manager, and I don't think Dart's job could be secure if that happens. I mean, if they have a high pick going into next year's draft with a QB rich class, and Dart struggles this year, like Dart Dart may not be a thing. Uh, I'm trying like crazy right now to get rid of him. I'm trying to get a first and a second. I just spammed every manager I have in the league with him. Uh, a first and a second. I'm trying, and they're all 27 first and seconds. I've gotten a lot of rejections, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. What's your take on Dart?
Yeah, I mean the Russ thing, and it's from last year too. Like, I think there's just like Russ fatigue, right? Like he's obviously clearly not like an elite quarterback anymore. But unless Jackson Dart is one of these elite rookies, which we don't see very often, right? Like kind of like Daniels was last year or Herbert was. You're not going to be very happy, right? Like the neighbors situation is not going to be a good one. Like with Russ, you had what happened against the Cowboys. Like if he gets a bad defense, he can chuck the ball, and he doesn't really care. I mean, obviously he didn't care, and he got benched. I think this is for Jackson Dart, like you're talking about in terms of dynasty. This might be one of the like worst situations I think he could have come into now because it's so early into the season. There's going to be a lot of chances for him to put out bad tape, and you're completely right. Like unless their defense carries them to some wins, if they're in the top 2 to 3 pick and you have a complete regime change from top to bottom, maybe those people come in and they don't want to attach themselves to Jackson Dart long term, right? He wasn't a Cam Ward 101 type of player, and we've even seen those guys get passed by when things change. So I think it's a pretty bad situation for Dart, where he's kind of playing for his job a lot earlier than I think maybe he was expecting. I mean, I don't know the point of having Winston there then at
Hmm.
all, but they will kind of put himself in that spot when he named Jackson Dart the backup, because then like you can't just be like, oh, actually we're gonna start Winston the third string. Like it didn't make sense. It clearly seems like Dable making a decision for his job, and I think that just hurts everybody. I think it
Yeah.
hurts. Everybody's excited for Scatterboot, right? That was another guy we can kind of mention
Sheesh.
since we're on the Giants, right? We heard that he was going to get more touches. How much was he going to get? We don't know. But then Tracy got injured. So with that, like how many chances is he having to score touchdowns, right? Like
Hmm.
if the offense is really bad. so I think it just hurts everybody overall. Like I'm not saying that Russ was amazing for fantasy, but he at least had that boom kind of upside. I We're gonna see what Dart can do. I don't love it. I mean, I think going into the season, like you talked about, it was always a possibility that this could happen. And then if Dart doesn't play well, like there's nothing that necessarily the Giants are beholden to him to keep him as a starter. So especially in those dynasty superflex leagues, you got to be really sure that you're going to get something out of Dart, or be willing to hold. Like I don't know if he comes out and has like 2 or 3 bad games, can you still do that trade? Maybe not. Maybe people are just going to wash it away. But I think if he comes out and it's like a pretty bad rookie season, like Bryce Young, like one, he might just not have a job, and then you're trying to panic sell him before the draft, NFL draft next season, um, or you're just stuck with an asset that might be, fodder for a a coach that's trying to save his job. So it's not good, man. I am not super excited. I don't have a ton of Dart. I do have one in like a rebuilding league, in a league where I'm rebuilding. And I'm trying to do the same. I'm pretty much trying to offload him.
Yeah. Yeah. If I could get my money
It's
back, that's great.
yeah, that would be the hope here. But yeah, I mean, apart from them too, right? You had a couple pretty big, important wide receiver injuries. I'm not sure what you're, holding of Evans and CeeDee Lamb are, but they both ankle for CeeDee and
Hamstring.
hamstring right for Mike Evans. So those are pretty important pieces that now you're going to be without. I think that there might have even be an even higher Ibuka sell high window. It might, we might actually be. We talked about this last episode, right? About him, like what can you trade for him?
We
I'll
found
trade him
out.
away. Yeah, we did. Unfortunately, that league is just cursed. But yeah, man, like how do you view some of those other options, like a Sterling Shepard maybe as a pickup, and then for CeeDee, I mean, I don't think there's much to pick up on the Cowboys side really, besides Pickens. But I mean,
No, yeah.
he's heavily, he's rostered already. So
Yeah,
how do
I
you set
mean,
those?
I got a couple, right? Well, and one, I'll just shout out the trade. Like we kind of left here thinking like, what can we get for Ibuka? We knew like the hype was sky high, and we just sent out a couple trades, Ibuka and a first to get to CD, or to get to, who was the other one we sent it out for? Was it Jamar Chase? We had JJ. Yeah, and the CD one got accepted. We were both kind of shocked that it did, and then yeah, he goes out and gets hurt 2 days later. Luckily, it's not like season ending. Like, that's super lucky that CD's coming back this year. So, at what percentage, we don't know. But yeah, like to step up and replace for him, I'm not super high on Pickens. I don't think he's that guy, especially without CD taking away coverage on the other side of the field. I think Dallas lost an offensive lineman this week too, and I don't believe in Javonte enough to kind of keep that offense in the positive, so that way George Pickens can kind of get down the field and do what he needs to do. So I mean, overall, like Ferguson is really the play. I think, he can get the underneath targets. Like, I think, what did he get? 17 targets, 15 targets, something like that last week.
Yeah,
I think there's more of that coming, and especially in this next game where they're playing Green Bay. Green Bay's defensive line is going to eat Dak for breakfast, and Ferguson's going to get peppered with targets. In deeper leagues, this is gross, but I'm in a league where, like the top 450 players are rostered, and I have a waiver claim in for Ryan Flournoy. There's not much else behind, Cavante Turpin and who's the other guy there? The,
uh dang, I'm completely spacing out.
that's okay. Yeah, the other speedster guy that's there kind of gets open. Jonathan Mingo's on IR, so I don't know, Ryan Flournoy in that deep of a league, like waivers are bone dry. Like I'm just shooting my shot. He had some hype last year, but I'm not hoping anything for that. Yeah, and then just shifting over to Evans. Yeah, I do like Sterling Shepard. I called him out a couple shows ago. He had a high targets per route run through 2 weeks. It's kind of fallen off, but nonetheless, he's producing. He's kind of the next man up. I kind of like Kate Otten in an offense too. It's like a cheap buy. It's all kind of intermediate though. With Godwin coming back, we don't know how long Evans is going to be out. Um, this is interesting, man. Um, I want your thoughts on this one. This is kind of, I'm in a 10-team best ball league where I'm competing and rosters are kind of shallow. And I have like injuries just kind of stacking up. Like I have George Kittle, I have Evan Ingram, Mike Evans is in that league. I have a few other guys that are just getting injured. And like every injured guy on your roster is just eating up space to get into your starting lineup. So I sent Evans for a trade offer for Evans, or to send away Evans for Torrey Horton in a third, and then another one for Troy Franklin in a third. Uh, it feels weird, but honestly, I feel like that's the right process. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, man? Is that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, no, I think once you get those injuries stacking up, you gotta make a move. You can't just sit there with your bench piling up like an infirmary. So I mean, I think that's another name, right? You said Thornton, right? That's the Seahawks rookie, right? I mean,
Hmm.
he kind of balled out. I mean, that was a weird game because they put up like 50 points in like
Yeah,
10 seconds. But if Darnold in that offense is getting going, there's definitely room for somebody else to eat. He had a really good camp and off season and all the stuff. He was got in that kind of rookie buzz. So I don't mind it, man. I mean, you got to do something in terms of Evans. Like the report was he missed, I think, 4 weeks or 3 weeks last year with a hammy, and the reports are this one was less than that. I'm still thinking like 2 to 3 weeks without Mike Evans, but yeah, I mean, Sterling Shepard is a nice like fill-in flex. Throw him in there if he gets a touchdown. You're probably going to be extra happy. I mean, he might catch just a handful of passes, but it does look like he has a decent chemistry with Baker. He looks to him even when Evans and Igbuko were out there. Sterling Shepard was the third guy, I think, running routes. So
yeah,
yeah, it's good. I think um, you'll be okay. Like if Shepard is some guy you pick up, like if he is on a waiver and you want to throw him in to a flex the next couple weeks, I think you'll definitely you'll live. You'll be okay. That's what I'm doing in a lot of leagues where I lost
yeah.
Mike Evans. I had a pretty good amount of exposure to him. Another guy that I kind of wanted to shout out because it was I think a lot better maybe than I was expecting was Jordan Mason. He looked fantastic.
Freemason
He looked
Army.
like yeah. So like we said, we're bringing we're bringing it back. So yeah, man, he looked awesome. He looks like a stud, and I'm not too sure like Aaron Jones has a bit of money in his contract, but it looks like Mason may it'd be taking it over for him. Had a little shout out, little Peyton Manning. Yeah, he definitely was one of the best quarterbacks in there.
I don't think that'll show up in the podcast because I have it muted. But yeah, yeah, my Spotify feed just turned on, and another
Okay.
podcast was playing over for those who were wondering what that was.
What Jose's just talking about, like nonsense randomness. That's hilarious. But yeah, man. So I'm pretty excited about Jordan Mason. I had him on
Yeah,
on a couple rosters, and I think that's looking really really good. He looks like a
same.
guy that could be explode past his ADP, and then also be that running back league winner type of person that maybe a lot of people weren't necessarily thinking, especially with this injury so early on to Aaron Jones. He could just not look back.
Yeah,
I
good
don't see
shout.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Mason, and I followed our advice. Last I think 2 weeks ago we were talking about what would you send for Mason, right? And we were talking about like sending a second. In Toclan. I went out, D-Bog had him on his team. He's not really contending. So I just sent a second. He countered with a second and a fourth. And I was like, sure, let's do it. And yeah, he's on my squad, scored me, like 30 points or something. That's close to that last week. My Toclan roster it's not panning out how I want it, man. I think I'm like Now I'm 1-5, I think, something like that.
Oh no.
I'm supposed to be competing.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a panic right now. I think this episode won't come out in time. I have a pretty high bid for Sterling Shepard in that
Yeah,
league because I lost CD and Mike Evans together in that league. So for the next like 4 weeks at least, my main wide receiver right now is Keenan Allen, and
yeah,
I'm not holding out hope that he's playing the whole season. And I'm a strong contender. I barely have any draft capital, so yeah, we were workshopping some ideas of guys I could go get for some 27 picks, man. But
yeah.
them's are the breaks, man. Sometimes like oof, like the injury bug hits you and you gotta learn, you gotta adapt, right? Like you gotta do something.
Do you want
Another
to?
guy,
I
go
was gonna
ahead.
say, do you want to talk about one of those guys we were talking about, or do you not want to put that out on the airwaves?
I don't mind. I mean, it's whatever. It was just like I was just trying to get a gauge, like if I was overreacting to Ricky Pearsall's kind of big game without Jennings, right? Like, do I need to go? Is that a guy that maybe you could go and buy? Maybe this is for the main pod episode, but is
Sure.
he like a buy right now before he really takes over, right? Before he has the explosion? Because I mean, Jennings doesn't seem like he can stay healthy, and at
Hmm.
some point, you know, they got to try to not kill Christian McCaffrey, right? Like I don't know. Like I think there was some crazy stat that the ballers mentioned about like what was like 55% of his offensive snaps were like of the snaps of the 49ers ran through Christian McCaffrey, like their offensive plays, some crazy number like that in terms of his touches. So, yeah, he was a guy that I was thinking sending some 27 capital for. I think it was like a first and a couple seconds, one of them being like a rebuilder's second, which would probably be more like enticing.
Right.
Um, and I think you kind of talked me back a little bit. I think my main idea right now is see what happens in the waivers. There's a couple actually guys that I'm trying to pick up to kind of fill those void. And if
Hmm.
that doesn't go my way, be more aggressive with some of these guys like Garrett Wilson, we talked about, Ricky Pearsall, AJ Brown, like kind of that level, that kind of second tier of options and kind of sending a first and 2 seconds for to try to plug my holes in pause. To fill the vacancies that I have, right? Because I have a lot at wide receiver currently.
Yeah, I think 1 and 2 twos is too much for Pearsall. I am in on Pearsall. The leagues I have him in, people are trying to get him, and I'm not really looking to move him too much. No, I haven't had any kind of offers like that. If I had a 1 and 2 twos come in, that's where I would probably start thinking about it. I think I would have to do it, especially if one was like a contenders first, or sorry, a builder second. But honestly, like where I have him, I'm competing. But yeah, Pearsall is. I don't think he's a super great wide receiver, but he's good enough to where you put him in that offense and he's gonna produce. Just with how efficient that offense is, he's gonna be fantasy relevant. And so I think he's a good buy, nonetheless, because we don't know what Ayuk is gonna be when he comes back. Like Pearsall and Ayuk could play complementary roles to each other. Like they might eat into each other like Debo and Ayuk did. One big game, one not really, but they still were finishing as wide receiver twos at worst on the year. Yeah, like you said, I don't think Jennings is going to be that guy. They didn't pay him. I don't think they have hopes for him to be that guy. So I like him as a buy. Yeah, is there anyone else you kind of want to give some quick shout outs here? Um,
Yeah, I
let's
mean,
try and
we
shotgun these
didn't.
guys.
Yeah, we didn't. Have any segments set up, but I was just kind of thinking real quick. What if I just blast some names at you and you tell me if you're panicking or not yet?
Oh, this
How
is
does that
fun.
sound?
I love it. Let's do it.
All right. So just looking at the Bengals, maybe the Bengals, everybody besides Jamar Chase. So T. Higgins and Chase Brown. How worried are you right now with them?
Chase Brown's tough because he has a hard schedule coming up for run defenses. T. Higgins, I don't love just because that offensive line isn't going to do a lot. They're going to be down, I guess. So, I think more likely he'll end up like a low wide receiver two on the year. So what you're paying to get him, you're probably not going to get. him for what you want. I'm still in on Chase Brown. I think he bounces back. I think it'll be okay, but I think he's a hold for me, to be honest. And yeah, T Higgins, it will be similar. What about you? Or do you want to just
Um,
keep moving?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll keep it a little
Okay.
bit more short, let you kind of give a little bit more analysis, but I think I'm panicking. I'm not the Chase Brown numbers before Burrow's injury were not that great in terms of his rushes. I think he had more rushes for yardage loss than rushes over 5 yards. He has just not looked very good behind that offensive line. And T. Higgins was also kind of boom and bust with Burrow.
Yeah.
Now you have Browning in. I think it's if I can move on, if I can bench those guys in a redraft where maybe I have another flex, a Jordan Mason that I randomly came up on, I'm probably doing that.
Yeah.
Let's hit a couple running backs. Or actually, let's hit a couple running backs. So the Ashton Genty, how are you feeling there?
For redraft, I'm worried. Dynasty, I'm holding. I'm honestly probably buying if people are panicking on him. But yeah, for this year, it's a panic for sure.
100%. That old line is
It's real bad.
horrific, and it is bad. It's hard to watch, him get the ball, and within 1 second he's getting blown up by three dudes. It's like
It's not
really.
just that either though. Like it's his usage. Like he's coming off the field for what's his name? Uh,
Is it Zamir White?
yes, there you go, Zamir White. I wanted to say Rashad White, but yeah,
Okay. Let's see. What about the Jaguars receivers?
panic.
BTJ and Panic. Yeah. Okay. Good. Same.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah. I think it's a T-Law problem, and it's not. It doesn't feel like it's gonna get better. Um, I honestly like I want to say go buy low on BTJ, but this is kind of what we were worried about coming into the season, to be honest. And now that it's playing out, like I kind of like am freezing and don't know how to act on it.
Yeah, I just traded him away in the Megalo Boy. I think it was Tony Pollard and Brian Thomas Jr. for Nico Collins. I'm not
I
in on
like that.
CJ Stroud. I mean, I saw a meme where they just released what was it, CJ Gardner Johnson, right, the safety, and the meme was like he's not even the worst CJ on the team, and he got cut. I mean, that's brutal, but I'm not in on that. But the usage, the targets for Nico make me not worried.
Yeah.
So I bought in on Nico. This one might hit a little too close to home, so if you want to skip, I can
Oh,
understand. But
she.
you're RJ Harvey, where he's a rookie, but I mean Dobbins is looking quite good. How are you feeling there?
I don't know that I'm panicking. I'm definitely pausing, right? I mean, it's tough because this isn't. We thought it would be more split, and it's not. J.K. Dobbins has a pretty firm hold of that backfield. It's encouraging though that Badi is getting, or Batty, what is his name?
I don't
Bidet,
know.
I don't know, that guy.
Batty just sounds funnier, so
He's not. He's being less involved. Um, so it's Peyton. I think in time, RJ Harvey will gain more trust and he'll get worked in. It's probably not going to happen this season. So in redraft, I think he's a fine like stash, like to buy as like an add-in, throw on to a trade or something. Same with like I'd peg him with like Ollie Gordon or like Woody Mark, like just a really high value upside stash that I'm trying to acquire, but not, aggressively.
yeah, 100%. I think that split is a little bit interesting, especially for a guy like Peyton. And then I think just last one, Marvin Harrison Jr. I was pretty in on the season. I had bought in, and I'll just take this one from this point of view because I was pretty bought in. I was drinking the Kool-Aid, but everything we kind of heard about him, right? His dad was a pro, right? Hall of Fame type of guy. And we just heard he's just pro. He's coming in as a pro. He knows, and he's out there. Like we can say Kyler sucks, the cart, whatever, but he dropped a 75-yard touchdown and another touchdown, which if you're an elite wide receiver one,
You
you
make.
got to make a catch, right? and so it's worrisome, man. I'm pretty worried. I don't have as much. I didn't actually get to draft him as much as I would have wanted, so I'm not as sad. But I'm pretty panicked, man. It doesn't look good. It looks like one of these wide receivers that just maybe just never hits the ceiling that he was touted to be coming out of college.
I have him in 0 places in Dynasty, which is where I'd prefer to have him right now. I'd prefer to have him on a rebuilding Dynasty squad. Um, I have him in too many places in redraft. In fact, I just traded for him, Jose. In our Toe Clan redraft, I just made a trade for him. I got more on top. I mean, it was what was it? It was I got Saquon, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Isaiah Likely, and we sent Egbuka, Tyler Warren, and Stephon Diggs. Mind you, like tight ends are scoring 2.5 points per reception, so like Tyler Warren holds a lot more weight. But we got
Right.
Saquon. So we're starting Gibbs and Saquon. We have Garrett Wilson and Puka. No, Neighbors. Neighbors and Garrett Wilson as our starting wide receivers. So MHJ is going to sit on our bench, is how we were seeing it. And that's kind of where he belongs right now. Like, I don't. I'm kind of just gonna keep him as an upside stash, and where I drafted him, I drafted contingency plans, and that contingency plan was like Buka most of the time. So I feel pretty good about having that. But yeah, man, it's tough. I think the stock gets lower, and I think you buy in Dynasty because he feels like a year 3 breakout kind of guy. Once everyone's given up on him, I think he could probably put it all together. But I just watched the interviews right now of him, and it doesn't seem like he's taking it seriously enough. He's got this kind of like smirk on his face, like he's entitled to be there, and it's just kind of like his job, and he knows he's not going to lose it because of the draft capital. And it's like, man, like that is not how it is in the NFL. Like you can get replaced. It's not that difficult. So hopefully, reality sets in as the season goes on, and he kind of gets on that jug machine.
Yeah. Yeah, and then one last guy, just because we kind of did a whole episode during the off season on him. Where are you with Saquon right now? Since you were just talking about him, are you? We've not seen very big games. I don't know if it's the usage, but the Eagles in general's offense has kind of been really weird. How are you kind of feeling on Saquon right now?
Yeah, it's hot and cold. Um, he's one of those guys where it's like I still believe that it can happen, and I think it will. It's they just have the game script hasn't really like called, to have him go and do it. He just hasn't had those big breakaway runs yet. Granted, he's played some pretty good run defenses, and that offensive line feels like they're starting to fall into place. They had some like I don't know if they were still working through the changes that they had on that offensive line, but I think overall, like I'm still encouraged by him. The usage is there. Like they're still not, pass heavy. Like they're gonna run the ball. That's what the Eagles want to do. They want to run the ball down your throat, and then they're gonna, play great defense. So I'm still in on Saquon. It's just like I'm not aggressively trying to target him.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit tempted. I don't even know
Tepid, timid.
yeah, sure. My what I'm thinking of him carrying a team, right? Like kind of like he did last year. Obviously, it was never going to be the same, but the way that I thought he would kind of be that cornerstone 20-point type of player more regularly, I think I'm tempering my expectations a little bit on that front, at least when I'm building and doing start sit decisions. But yeah, I'm still in. I think Saquon will find that he's still, just as skillful as ever. But yeah, man, I mean, we're like crossing 30 minutes. I think that's kind of what we set our
Sure.
goal at. Is there anybody that we didn't mention that you want to just allow us a little shout out on our as
hmm
we get ready to head out?
Dictionary.com, tepid, showing little enthusiasm. No, there's a couple guys, some deep guys I wanted to shout out. If you're in a best ball or just a really deep league, just make sure these guys are on your roster. Demarcus Robinson, or they're rostered. Sterling Shepard, who we already talked about. Olamide Zaccheaus. he was getting quite a bit of work and actually like the peripheral support. So if he's on your waivers, especially in a best ball league, put him on your roster. I think that there's a role for him there. And then yeah, I already shouted out Ryan Flournoy, and then one more, Diggs. He's dead to me. He's digging his own grave. Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's pretty big disappointment. I think a lot of people thought they were getting a value, and
Yeah.
it's not looking like it. I think my only shout out would be just to reminisce to not miss it, since it seems like a potential guy that's breaking out, right? Trey Tucker for the Las
Shout.
Vegas Raiders, right? 3 tutties. He looked really electric out there. Can Gino do that every week? But I mean, that wide receiver room is not anything, that anybody couldn't come in and just take over besides Brock
Hmm.
Bowers. So he's a guy that I think in some redraft leagues, probably not in many dynasties, but he might be out there. I'd probably be, hammering some fab if he was out there on my dynasty waivers, and on redraft, to be honest. So that would be my last shout, man.
Yeah.
I think this went well, man. I think this is a good little way for us to kind of bookend the week. And if we, can get this out to you guys, a little bit extra content for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. We kind of felt like there was just too much time between episodes. When we're recording on Fridays, we don't get to get you guys good information, actionable information ahead of the week. And then just, there's so much that happens between Monday and Friday that we can't cover all in one episode and still get you good Dynasty content. So we're hoping to kind of do some more small ones of these just to kind of keep our thoughts flowing and keep it going. And then, yeah, we'll stay tuned in for another episode coming out. We're talking about changing up the schedule here. But yeah. Jose, sign us off, man.
For sure. As always, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, touch down on the subscribe button, the like button, comment, rate, whatever you can.